Today, we're in beautiful Pasadena, California. We're coming down to NerdBotCon, where I'm going to be catching up with a good friend of mine who's an exhibitor for the second year in a row. His name is Mr. Vinnie Lamborn, although most know him as Vinnie's FX Studio. I'm Fett, and
this is Geeks in Cars grabbing lunch.
How are you liking that Tesla, man?
Oh man, it's beautiful. The technology is worth every penny. It's so advanced and it drives so smooth because there's no engine. You don't have to deal with oil change. You don't have to deal with smog. I love it. I mean, of course, you gotta wait a few minutes, 20 minutes to charge it.
Is that all it takes?
It takes about 20 minutes.
I honestly thought it was like a whole night.
If it's like a full charge, because you go to the power, like the stations. So a full charge takes about almost an hour, but you don't really need it to do it for a full charge. So yeah, I love it.
Damn, dude. I gotta try to afford a Tesla one day. All right, so we're here outside BJ's. I think this is where we're gonna eat, right?
Yes.
All right, so really. Mike De La Vega picked up the tab for us today. So for you at least. I always pay my own bill. Okay, so you guys are paying for the guest, and what I do is through you, try to extract as much information as I can so that we can all benefit from that. So thank you, Mike De La Vega. We're about to enjoy some jambalaya or something. I don't know what we're gonna get.
Beer.
So you've been keeping really busy, dude. Already from last year, there's a video on YouTube from NerdBot last year. He was on a smaller table, really cool setup still, but towards the end of the convention, and now you got the prime real estate as soon as people walk in. I mean, that's the type of space.
It was flattering for them to offer it to me. I mean, of course, Josh from Prop Shop Garage couldn't make it. You know, he has a bad shoulder, which sucks, and he doesn't have enough manpower to be able to do it this event. So they asked me, and I was really excited. I was in front of everybody, instead of just a small little section.
Yeah.
So I was very I had to step up my game, so I had to put more stuff out there.
Yeah, man. You were like, hey, I have this huge area. I might not have enough stuff to cover. You're like, feel free to bring stuff. I brought stuff. You had it like way more than covered, dude. I got a couple things at the corner there in the Nuke, but dude, you had. I mean, and you even.
And at that time, even though I was selling stuff, I wasn't taking it serious.
Yeah.
And even marketing myself, I'm still trying to understand this. I'm not good with socially. I'm not good with talking to people. I'm not good just communicating online. I try my best, but it is something that I'm learning just as well as all this stuff that I'm doing as well. From making the costumes, from learning how to ship them out, learning how to respond to a lot of comments or just everything. So it's very challenging because you're just doing it all at once, and I'm doing so much. Sometimes it makes me lose my mind because I'm way over my shoulders, just way over my head.
Well, I think you've been doing a great job branding yourself. I like that you're already now, you got t-shirts and everything, and you switched from your name to Vinnie's FX Studios.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything creative. I'm like, I just put my name in.
But
FX, what? I couldn't even know what to say. I didn't want to use prop because a lot of people, Vinnie's props, hey, give me props.
And you do way more than just props.
Yeah, so, using that, Studio, FX, that's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah. I think it's a great name. When you overthink things, like me, is when you mess it up. You know what I mean? You overthink it. That's why, El Fett was just like something that was always, it was given to me by my friends. They would call me El Fett back in the early 2000s.
Wow.
The Star Wars group that I was in, it was like, that guy is El Fett. In Spanish, that's the guy that dresses up as Fett. So that's all it is. So it's simple. And then when I opened up my RPF account, I was just like, just keep it simple. And so many times, I have different names in different forums. So many times I wanted to change it to something cool, dude. I'm on eBay, I'm like, Diesel 21. You know what I mean? Because I was 21 back then.
Yeah.
But the more you try to be cool, the more it fails over time. It doesn't stand the test of time when you're trying to go with the cool thing. You know what I mean? I think Vinnie's FX Studio, you're saying what you do.
Yeah. And you know what I learned also, I was in Dragon Con. I had a great time. I get to finally meet all these people from the East Coast and West Coast. And I was surprised to hang out with all these prop builders. And one of the people was HK. I always say HKS like it's a car, but SKS Props. And he was holding his coffee mug, and it had his brand, it had his shirt, and he just looked at me, "Hey, Vinny, it's all on how you market yourself, how you brand yourself." And I'm like, "That's what you need to be doing. You need to start thinking about that." And I'm like, "Wow, I should." You know, even how drunk I was like, that was a light bulb. I'm like, "Wow, you know what? Maybe I should just take that." I mean, I already went all out with my costumes. I might as well just go all out with my name. Give props to a guy named Jess. I forgot his name. Corvoso, I think. He does it's called Tattoo FX, which is an extremely badass tattooist and also a sculptor, artist, you know. So he is the one that took the time when I was all trying to get into it. I was like, I used to message him on Instagram and tell him like, you know, his work is amazing and, you know, I want to get into it. And he would just give me advice like, you need to work on a head core. And then I would start working on it. He's like, "Oh wow, this guy's serious." So he'll start giving me more input on how to create silicone masks. So now that I'm able to do it, I want things. You know, I see people have it, like the mask. You know, I saw Scott Elliott, right? And he had all the cool stuff. And I'm like, man, I really want the mask, but I know I'm not going to be able to get it. So now I'm just making my own stuff because of my own personal collection. I want those things. And it's just like, even with Slop, and I have some other ideas that I really want to see come to life in silicone, or just make a costume. I just want to see it done, like the Piccolo. I just, you know, want to see what it looks like if it was made.
Yeah.
It's just for my own satisfaction. It's not because I'm trying to make it for someone else and please them. It's because I really want to see it happen. And it's a lot of time. It's really hard. It's a lot of work, but you know, I just, it's hard for me not to not do it if I have the ability to, and the time if I'm able to have the time.
But that's how you know you're pouring all your like heart into the piece, because it's like something that you're connected to personally.
And I like the fact that even like some of the things that I'm doing right now, it's like sculpting. I notice that I'm going faster and faster, and it's becoming easier and easier. Like before I used to took so much time trying to like figure out the dimensions and all that, but a lot of times is because I do a lot of research. I ask a lot of really more complex. I don't waste time with other people that do the same work. I give them a really good question, and if they answer it, great. If they don't, but none of the base question. That's the main thing that you got to understand, that these people are busy. A lot of times they're not going to want to answer it. They don't want to even talk to you, because if you're going to ask them, how do you make that?
Yeah.
Well, it's really hard for everyone to. But if you're going to give me a really detailed question because you thought about it, okay, how much mixture do I use for this? Because you already got into it, no problem at all. I would tell you exactly how it's been done. But when you're telling me, how do you make it step by step by step? I don't know, man. I don't think I have the time. I don't want to waste my time, because my time is still valuable. That time I can actually use it to have whatever life that I have right now.
Of course, of course. That's what people need to understand also, is that people have lives as well. You know what I mean?
You know, it's hard. It's just this is something I have to learn. I've been doing this for 5.5 years now. I've been on beast mode since I started doing this. Once it was a light bulb for me when I said, hey, I'm tired of working on cars. Back in the days I was an artist, since I was a kid. I didn't know what to do with it, but once I figured, hey, I want to make costumes. It's almost like working on a car, but I get to really be creative. And that's when, for 5.5 years, I was beast mode. I was obsessed with it. That's the reason why I'm able to do what I'm able to do right now. Like, my knowledge is about a person that's been doing it for twice as long. And this is all self-taught. You could tell someone, well, I did it 5 years. Yeah, you worked at a studio. That's a difference. But, things like Stan Winston really helps. Their tutorials will help you jumpstart to do things properly. But you really have to do a lot of studying. You have to do a lot of research. So even when I was working at the body shop, on my break time, I'm just obsessively like learning stuff, reading stuff, learning stuff about foam. It has nothing to do with what I'm trying to learn about sculpting, but I'm trying to learn everything and just mash it all into, it's just cramming into my brain to be able to create stuff. And it's always hands-on, and that's how I was able to progress this far and this fast, because I keep pumping out. And it's not like, oh, I'm very fast at it. No, I'm just very determined as a person. Even when I worked on cars, I was very determined. I worked on one of the hardest cars to work on. I never even knew how to change an oil, and now I know how to build a rotary because I was very determined to get what I want.
You're a passionate person, man.
Yeah.
Like you said, I mean, it's that determination, and it's a work ethic as well. It's never a shortcut thing. You know what I mean? It's a work ethic. McLean also talked about this a little bit. On Instagram, it's like a highlight reel. You just kind of see the finished product. And people assume that it's either easy or that you just like threw money at it or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't know the hard work
that's
that
one
happens.
thing that I also got. When my success of whatever I made, there is 10 times a lot of more failures. The only reason that you don't know it is because I'm not gonna post it. I just don't care to post it. I know I made the mistake. Maybe I should, just to show that it is difficult, and you do make a lot of mistakes, and you do waste a lot of materials and money. When I first started, I did a live cast. This is trial and error. Okay, step one, I did a live cast of a person's body, because that's what I learned. I learned it on YouTube, but I didn't really learn enough. So I was using plaster bandage, which is the stuff that they use for broken arm, legs, and all that. So I did it on the person's body, but I did it on his whole body. So basically, I didn't do a separation mode. So he was locked in. So we had to use a Dremel and slowly, carefully, hopefully,
Oh my God.
cut him apart. And he was getting burns, little lines. I mean, I feel really bad. But he had faith in me, and he wanted me to see. So he did it the second time. So I'm like, all right, we'll live cast him again. So we live cast him again. This time I learned that you put separation, which is put petroleum jelly, do one half, and do the other half, and it separates. And then you close it up and you make it. So we did it, and we took it apart. Yes, it's a success. We did it. We rested down. And it wasn't fully cured. Instead of just snapping it back together so it holds its position, left bottom to right top, we left it separate. So when we put it back together, the arm is like this, the back arm is all the way forward, so we couldn't even connect it. So
Oh my God.
I told about it, and I'm really sad because I spent already a couple $100 on it, and I'm like,
Oh my,
about to cry.
that's nothing compared to like.
Okay.
I mean, I've wasted.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw like even when I started working on the muscle suits.
Yeah.
I've showed you all the weights that I
Yeah.
had there. I mean, I got like boxes of rejects.
Yeah, and that's what
I'm just
people
gonna
gotta
throw them
understand.
away. I was saving them because I was like, maybe I can save it if I do this or that. I was gonna throw it away,
Yeah.
but just gallons upon gallons, and that material is not cheap.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of things that I wasn't taking into consideration, such as the temperature.
Yes. Yes. And that's what the people got to understand, that you make a lot of mistakes, but you got to be kind of stubborn about it, and you got to
Yeah.
understand. And a lot of times I try to tell people when they want to do something, I learned from that, and I started because I was trying to still learn. I don't have the basic knowledge, so I started on something small. So if I mess up, it's cheaper. So you just start on something small and see if it works. Like the arm, you're like, oh, instead of doing all these pieces, let me try one piece and see if it properly cures properly with the temperature. And
Doing a smaller tests.
Yeah.
You know what? We're gonna continue talking about all of this outside because they got the blender doing the margaritas over here, and I'm afraid we're gonna lose some audio. Hopefully not. But we also gotta let Vinny finish his burger.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna take this conversation because I think it's a really also good segue for a lot of the stuff that he's saying. For some stuff that I want to tell him about, all the stuff that he's doing. I know you guys will agree that deserves a platform where he's coming up with tutorials and everything for all of you guys, everything that he's putting on Instagram lately, it's like a little tutorial. So he has all that knowledge, and I want to try to convince him to put that stuff up on Patreon or a platform where he can really go in depth into all of this stuff and help everybody else that is like of the same passion, they have the interest, and he should be getting paid for all that. So we're gonna talk about that later. That video with Ryan Reynolds where he's
So
walking.
we're not driving, we are walking.
We're walking. We're being responsible. We walked to the BJ's and we're walking back from the BJ's, so that's why we had a drink.
2 beers.
So yeah, exactly. Geeks and cars, grabbing lunch, but we walked this time to get lunch. Had a drink. We're walking back to Nerdbot right now. Alright, you guys, we are now in the car. Usually you know the drill. I pick up the guest. This time I am going to drop off the guest. I got Vinny over here too excited playing with this bio boosted costume by Anthony Ant-Man on Facebook.
Yeah, I love it. It's very detailed. It's really nice. Like if you ever consider getting a figurine, like I took off the blades because I really don't want to lose it. We almost lost the
yeah, we already almost lost it.
My wife almost trashed it, or actually did.
We did have to dumpster dive for that.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh hell no, So yeah, this is amazing work. Really beautiful, nicely done.
I'm glad you dig it, dude.
Time on it. Thank you, and
yeah,
thank him for doing it. It's fucking beautiful. I mean, oh shit, I cussed.
Oh, no worries, man. You know what?
Yeah,
on Patreon, all the cusses will be real cusses, and then on YouTube, it'll be like.
Yeah, if you're ever interested, trust me, it's really really nice.
It's a very nice figure.
It's not like he didn't half-ass. He really took a lot of time, even the paint work. I mean, I can't even do this type of paint work.
It's really, I mean, like what you do, it's a labor of love, and you can tell he loves Guyver.
Yeah.
We love Guyver.
Yeah.
So when he said he might stop doing those, I was like, hey, hold up. I need one. My buddy Vinny needs one. So let's get a couple out here. Mike de la Vega, who graciously offered to buy us
Thank
lunch,
you so much.
asked, wasn't that weird? It's like Max Headroom, dude. Sometimes, since I speak Spanish and like I have to think in English and everything, like I'll be like,
hey, at least you speak another language.
Oh my
I don't
God.
even speak another language. I sound bad.
Jeez Louise, I'm gonna feel really bad if I F up in a Spanish video, dude. If I'm all like, and I can't speak Spanish either, dude. But anyways, he was asking how you got into the mask, like what compelled you to start with masks? Because you've grown your catalog, like you have a whole lineup now. And I know you started, like Frieza was the first silicone mask, and now you have a whole like army. Was it like something that you planned on doing, or you just kind of liked it as you were doing it, and now you like it's become your
Why
thing?
I got into making silicone masks?
Yeah.
One thing is like I like sculpting. I like to try to sculpt a lot of faces and stuff. The latex, I wasn't so into it, like only because with that silicone, you can see that person's mouth move. You see that it's all animated. It's such a trip. You see something and it's easy to put on, easy to take off. And yes, it's really a lot more harder to get down and to master compared to like if you were to just do a latex mask, because latex mask is cheaper with materials. At the same time, it's a lot more easier to make the mold. But it was because I wanted to sculpt more, and I just liked the silicone. And also another thing is it fits most people. So I always get worried, what if I make this costume, like even with bodysuits, what if it doesn't fit them? And then I have to, you deal with that all the time. And I know you with the Deadpool, you're like, oh, this measurement, and we talk about this all the time. And oh, this doesn't fit. At least silicone, there is less chance that silicone will not stretch over that person's face.
Yeah.
So that's
Spidey suits in particular have always been a nightmare for that reason.
Yeah. So that's where I got into it, and plus I just want to really sculpt and create new characters. And there's so many things out there you could and that's what I'm trying to incorporate. Also, it's like building cheaper muscle suits and having people to be able to make the suit for the mask. The mask part is hard because that's what people notice first. It's kind of like girls. You notice a face, well, most people. You notice the face, and then you start looking on the rest of the stuff. So the mask is the face is most important. That's what people catches people's attention.
Yeah.
And then everything else. So I'm trying to figure out ways even for other people to be able to build the suit, because I personally don't want to build the suit for other people.
Right. Yeah, when you create the costumes, you were mentioning before that it's for your display to kind of finalize that vision of the character, but it's not like your end goal to make the whole costume to go with the mask every time. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to back up a little bit here. A lot of nice homes in this area.
Oh yeah, you should check out the Airbnb that we're at. It's creepy because it has a long hallway, but it's really nice.
I told my wife, if we could find a nice historic home, super cheap, but it was haunted, would you move? Would we take it? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, me too. I can deal with hauntings, dude.
I'm not cool with it.
You wouldn't be cool?
No, because I believe in it because I experienced it when I was a kid, and because my house was.
Tell me about that, dude.
It's gonna be a long story.
Dude, tell me. We got a few. We got 4 minutes, dude. Just do the short version, dude.
Oh, you want to see you want me to talk about certain incidents I seen?
Yeah, okay. Just tell me one of your most convincing ghost stories that you experienced at this place.
I seen one time that my brother was watching TV in the living room. I went out to the backyard, and I saw him, and he says, "I bet you can't catch me." And we were young, and he goes into the side of the house where I know it's guaranteed that he won't be able to hop over the fence and go back into the living room or go back in the front house. So I went and ran over there, and I could get you or something like that. I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'll get you, and realize he's not there. And I walked to the living room. He was sitting there the whole time. There was times where I'm trying to sleep.
He wasn't even He didn't even tell you to catch him or anything.
No, he was watching TV. He was not. No.
What the hell?
There was times where there's a lot of walking at night, but everyone's asleep. There's things that will be misplaced. My stepdad, he was drinking a cup of hot coffee, and he was watering the plants. We have an old house, so basically he was just watering the plants, and he put his coffee down, and it's a full cup of coffee. It's still hot, and he was watering. He went back to it. It's completely almost empty. He got tripped out to the point where he just grabbed his cup and just turned off the hose and walked back inside the house and got ready for work, because he did it before work. And there was weird things that happened.
Was it an old house or what?
Yes, it was built in 1927, and a boy died in there. Dang. I guess some person that's kind of psychic, and she kind of told me, that boy does not like me, like a 9-year-old that got sick.
Nuts, dude.
And I'm like, that's great. So I believe it because I've seen a lot of shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just wanted a nice historic home for cheap, dude, but now I might have to reconsider, dude.
Not when it starts to scare you, and then what are you going to do? You're going to move out? I mean, when you get scared, you get confused and scared. You're I know what I see, but I I don't believe it. Then you're just so confused. You're like,
But you know, like in all the movies, once you're like you caught the attention of the haunting, dude. Like even if you move, it just kind of moves with you at that point. Because like,
and you know, even at my house, I had night terrors almost every night. And night terrors are basically like you're in sleep. What is sleep?
Sleep paralysis. Yeah.
So I was having that. The first night that I had it, I tripped out. I freaked out. I ran to my. I was like 15. I ran to my mom's room, and I'm on knocking on her, about to cry. And I told her, I don't know what happened, but something was choking me. It was a lay on top. I'm like tripping out, and instead of just comforting me and say it's not real, she goes, "It's okay. It's okay. It happens. Just go back to sleep." I'm like, what? So the next day she explains everything. Like, yeah, it's okay. Just sometimes it'll mess with you. I'm like, oh my god, you're not helping me right now. So, yeah.
oh man.
But yeah, there's so many stories. There's crazy ass stories, but we don't want to get into that because I just really believe it because I can't explain it.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's like it's a powerful thing. Like I'm a skeptic of all things, but I am a wannabe believer of all things. Like I'm the kind of skeptic that wishes to encounter the real thing. So like anything that intrigues me, I look into it with the intention of like finding like the one instance of it being, as true as possible. Like so, every time somebody tells me something like this, it's like a powerful thing, and when somebody believes it like so deeply, it ignites my desire to like know more. You know what I mean? We passed the first time, but it's like right here. Yeah, man, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to be a believer. I don't feel like I believe it. It's like, come on, man, spirit.
Yeah. But when you actually like saw it a couple
or
times,
seen a bunch of certain things that you can't explain, like even seeing people and bodies, and it's really
that's
cool.
crazy.
It really is.
I just like to see this turn right here. Fair Oaks Drive.
Yeah, so I think we gotta do.
Yeah, that was like the street that we were on, and then I turned because it told me to turn. But I guess
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy, dude. I think I turned before.
But like I said, there's sometimes that I want to. Oh, it's right here.
That was right there. It was that small street.
So
Tiny street.
yeah, and a lot of times I also think like maybe I should make like masks of what creatures that kind of like seen or even like some of the ones that like the Asian stories that they talk about. If you're Asian, you'll know like the one person
That'd be cool,
has,
man.
the intestines, like things like that.
The little Vinnie Lamborn series, dude. Like
or just real stuff, but then I'm also afraid that I might be calling for it. What if it starts to, what I believe is, what if it starts to haunt you? It starts to follow you because you're giving it that attention that it wants.
Nuts, dude. You know Post Malone, the rapper?
Not really.
Post Malone, he's like, amongst the children, amongst the kids these days, Post Malone, he just got like best new artist or something. He got like a big Grammy award. But he's a rapper. He's a cool rapper. He has some good songs. Like if you were to listen to some of his songs, you would probably recognize a couple and like him. Because I like some of the stuff that he's put out. But he's a big believer in the ghost stuff. And right now, dude, his when he was flying back from the Grammys or whatever, his flight, his plane got into a whole thing where like it was gonna crash. It was a whole thing. Like it was on the news and stuff, but they landed safely, or they like avoided taking off. The plane was gonna something was wrong with the plane.
Yeah.
So that was a big scare. Then he got into a car accident like right after, I believe. And then now there were some freaking criminals came over to his house to like steal from him, like basically like kidnap him and steal his stuff at his house, but it turned out he wasn't living in that house anymore. So the tenants or the new owners of that house got the scare of their lives, and they got their shit stolen. So he said now that he's concerned that he's been basically cursed because he collects a lot of like cursed items, and he touched one of them. So he's like, he touched it's like a box or something.
Yeah,
and
you
when
know,
he
like
was
the
like
weirdest
moving
things,
things.
like you'll have like when you, well, I believe when you start to have it.
Is it one of these places?
This one.
Okay, yeah,
Park right here.
that's a nice house, dude. Oh, park right into the
park.
driveway.
Yeah, so pretty much like it will hit you in bad luck. You'll have bad luck right after another, and it's to the
Yeah.
point where you're like, this is crazy. This is
Yeah, once you start like you go into that zone, and you're like, God damn.
Anyways. talking
Anywho,
about-
guys, we are at the haunted Airbnb right now. I'm not gonna say that, but there's a lot of historic homes around here, so that's what got us
Really
talking
beautiful.
into this thing. But anyways, it was a really, really fun time. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and hopefully you guys will see Vinny on Patreon soon. Maybe so, maybe not. Who knows? We'll find out. And yeah, man. Anything else you wanna talk about? Anything you wanna plug? Any new work you got coming up, or new convention you're gonna go to? Any new projects?
New project I'm gonna do. I'm planning to do. Gonna try to incorporate like these little motors with a silicone mask, which is kind of scary. But
Sounds awesome.
I'm going to incorporate like these little motors that's gonna make the eyes kind of
So
spin.
you're gonna start like going into animatronics?
Well, not really so deep. It's more just turn on the switch, but it's gonna be tripped out. You'll see within like a month or two when I start attacking it.
That sounds super
Really
intriguing
cool.
and
Yeah.
Patreon worthy, dude, if you ask me.
Really, huh?
Yeah, man, all that behind the scenes goodness.
$20.
Yeah, there you go. That tier. He's
Oh, yeah,
gonna
I
be
gotta wait, huh? I gotta
modeling speedos on Patreon. All right, man. Well, Vinnie Effects Studios on Instagram, Facebook. No YouTube yet.
No YouTube.
No YouTube yet. He's too camera shy. I think he's doing great in front of the camera, but if not, I told him, hey man, you can type out everything and do a nice little newsletter or editorial or instructables type stuff on Patreon. Yeah, I'm gonna be pushing for this until he does it, but you know, I got him to do the Guyver once before. I may be able to succeed with this, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. All right, you guys. We'll see you on the next one, and hasta la baby vista.
Tell me what's a guy